Ryzeal is one of the hottest new decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! That has just released in the newest deck building set, Crossover Breakers. Right out of the box, this deck is a tier 1 strategy and absolutely is going to be disrupting the metagame. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at my Ryzeal deck that I took to an undefeated record to win a win-a-box tournament for Crossover Breakers. Alright, Devastator Squad, so let's go ahead and get into my undefeated Ryzeal deck. Man, this deck is crazy. I gotta say, man, it's really powerful, it's really consistent, and it's also just really fun. Overall, it feels pretty fair. Like, not a lot of the cards in this deck feel like absurdly overpowered, broken, overtuned, like stuff in Snake Eyes and Yugioh, do. So I gotta say, this is the first like meta deck that I've actually enjoyed playing and I would like see myself using, which is kind of fun. Yeah, we took this deck undefeated, won a beautiful Crossover Breakers booster box. Shout out to Game Spanish Fork for hosting that tournament. You guys are the best. Appreciate you guys hosting those awesome events all the time for players. So let's go ahead and jump into our deck profile here. Now, first thing I want to say, it's going to be an in-depth video, so expect to be a little on the longer side. This is not a combo tutorial, so don't expect combos. If you guys want combos, let me know in the comment section below and we can do a combo video at another time. But for today's video, this is just going to be instructional on the deck itself and how to just kind of interact with your cards. So definitely make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new here before we get started. So let's go ahead and crack on in, starting with our Ryzeal cards. First things first, let's go ahead and get our X Ryzeal or EXT Ryzeal. This is like your best starter card in the deck. This card has two effects. They all have two effects. The first one is you can send any Exceed monster from your extra deck to the graveyard to special summon him from your hand to the field. That is not an activated effect, by the way. That is an inherent summon, so you can just boop. So your opponent can't respond to that. They can respond to when he hits the field and activates his other effect. When this card is summoned, you can search your deck for any one of your Fire Thunder monsters and add it from your deck to your hand. Card's really good. Obviously, it's a one card starter, just a free special summon to then get access to your next guy to keep on cruising. So this card's very, very good. One thing I gotta note about this card though, two things. When you special summon it from the hand, you are now locked into rank 4s from your extra deck for the rest of the turn. That's going to be a recurring thing with these cards. The other thing too with this card is when he's on your field, if you control any monster that's not a level 4 and rank 4 monster, you cannot search with this card. So you got to make sure that if for some reason you have a non-level 4 or rank 4 on your field, you can't search with this card effect until that monster leaves. All right, so that's going to be our first guys. Next up, we got 3 copies of Ice Ryzeal. Gotten hold of a third one yet, so I only played 2 at the tournament. Never needed a third one, to be honest, but you're going to want to play 3 anyways, because this card is another 1-card combo starter. This card is really, really insane. It has an in-hand effect as well. You can special summon it from your hand to the field by discarding any card or sending a card you control to the graveyard. And it's any card, not Ryzeal, so it's pretty generic. When this card is, and then of course, if you do that, you're locked into rank 4 Exceeds. If you normal summon it, this is specific to normal summon. This is the only one specific to normal. It's everything else. All the other Ryzeals are normal or special. When it's normal summon, you can special summon one of your Fire Thunders from your deck to the field. And that doesn't lock you right away. So this is a way to kind of get into some cheeky stuff if you kind of have some non-Exceeds in your extra deck or whatever, of other weird engines you want to play with. This is pure Ryzeal, so don't expect anything weird. But this card's really, really good, man. Another like beautiful 1-card starter. Last up, we've got our 3 Sword Ryzeals for our 3s. This is probably the least effective as a starter card because you really don't want to have to normal summon this guy, but if you have to, you have to. But if this card is summoned, you can search your deck for one of the light pyro monsters and add it to your deck to your hand. So you can get the Ice or the EXT. So this card also is a replacement for itself. And then you can special summon this card from your hand to the field if you control a Ryzeal card in your field or your graveyard. So pretty good. And of course, if you summon it from your hand, you're locked into rank 4s. The last Ryzeal monster you play is 1 copy of Node Ryzeal. Now there's another one called Palm Ryzeal, but you don't need to play that card. Just the Node is the only one that we want to play. This is the worst one, obviously, because it's a 1-of. So you're just gonna search it off any of your cards that just search, which is like this X Ryzeal or the Duo Driver, where if you really need to. But this card, when it's in your hand, you can special summon it to the field if an Exceed monster is on your field or your graveyard. Very easy. And then, of course, you're locked into rank 4s. And then once per turn, you can discard a card from your hand or send a card from your field to the grave to special summon a Ryzeal from your monster to the field, but then its effect is negated. Obviously, pretty good card for just getting more monsters back out. You technically could bring back an Exceed with this effect, but there's no real need to because it's negated and has no material. But you could do that with some other card effects to kind of do some funny things, but you typically just want to bring out one of these guys with it so you get another rank 4 Exceed. We've got 2 copies of the field spell, Ryzeal Cross. This card is very, very powerful. Usually people I think just want to play one of this, but I like to play 2. This card is just very, very good in a grind game situation, and this deck can get into grind game situations pretty frequently if the games are really back and forth. This deck has a lot of just gas and then also a lot of recursion because of the field spell. So this card, once per turn, you can go ahead and take any 2 of your Ryzeal cards in the graveyard, shuffle them to the bottom of your deck, and then draw 1 card. And you can do this with your spells, traps, monsters, and even your Exceed monsters as well. And the really cool thing is they go to the bottom, so you don't have to shuffle your decks. You're not gonna like run the chance of drawing those guys again. You can just draw your non-engine, which is really, really cool. So you get to put your guys on the bottom to just search out for the next turn, and then you get to draw a non-engine off the top, which is really good. One stipulation with this is while this is out, you can't control other Exceeds with the same name. So it kind of gives you like this unique clause. So you can have 2 detonators if you wanted to without the field spell, but if you have the field spell, you can't. You can only go into 1, right? Now, the best thing about this field spell is its other effect is at resolution of a monster effect that your opponent activates, you can detach material from your field to negate it. So your opponent can't interact with that. And the way that works is, say your opponent uses Nibiru and you have the field spell out. You wouldn't say, I activate Ryzeal Cross to negate. You would say, fine, no response. Nibiru then goes to resolution, and then at resolution you say Ryzeal Cross. I'm going to detach the material to negate the Nibiru now. So your opponent can't interact with that because it's a resolution effect. So that's a really, really cheeky thing with this deck, because a lot of the cards are like inherent summon effects, or they're the resolution effects. So they kind of get around a lot of interaction. We have Ryzeal Plugin. This is a quick play spell card, very, very powerful card. This card lets you special summon any Exceed monster or Ryzeal monster from your graveyard or banished pile, and then you can take any Ryzeal card, it could be spell, trap, or monster, from your deck and attach it to a rank 4 on the field. So you can use it to bring out like a sword Ryzeal on your opponent's turn. Like if you set this card, you can use it on your opponent's turn, bring out a sword, search an ice or an X, and then take a card out of your deck to attach to one of your rank 4s. You could also just use it to bring back a Ryzeal and then attach a material to it right away. So there's a lot of interesting stuff with this. Or you can attach a material to like an Excitonite or a Rafflesia or whatever, right? Very, very flexible card. You can use it on your turn as kind of like an extension card, or I would say it's much better to use it on your opponent's turn to kind of have it as an extra interruption, and also to be able to bring back the sword Ryzeal so you can search. So you have access to one of those cards that you put back on the bottom with your field spell. The last one you play is the Ryzeal Plasma Hole. So it's a trap card. This is the card you typically will add from the deck with plugin to one of your Exceed monsters. Because if this card is in the graveyard, you can banish it to then do an Exceed summon using Ryzeal cards you control. Or at least one Ryzeal card. You can use other stuff as well, but it has to be at least one Ryzeal. So that's pretty good because you can just like Exceed into a Bagusko or a Dweller on your opponent's turn, or whatever card meets the criteria, or you can just go into a Detonator. You can go into a Zeus. Like, this card's pretty nasty. This card also has a field effect as well. If you like have it as a trap card, when you activate it, you can target cards on the field up to the number of Ryzeal Exceed monsters you control and then destroy them. So this card's pretty dang good as a board clear. You can clear 2 cards with it because you'll typically have 2 Exceed monsters that are Ryzeal when you end your combo, and then you get to use this effect in the graveyard as well, plus the Detonator. We'll get to that card, but yeah, trap's pretty good. All right, next up are the hand traps, and there's a lot of them, and I mean a lot of them. 19 in total to be exact. This is a deck that can play anywhere from 15 to 21 hand traps comfortably and not care, because you have so many 1-card starter / 1-card combo cards that you don't really need to have a lot of engine in your hand. You just need like 1 card and then hand traps, right? So it's one of those type of decks. So you got 3 Ash Blossom, of course, very easy card. Like, this is a deck where you can just play like literally every hand trap that's relevant, because you don't play Dominus Impulse or Purge, because both of those cards will just completely ruin your entire strategy. So you can just play all the hand traps under the sun, dude. You can play Veiler, you can play Ghost Mourner, and then of course Nibiru. You could play Ghost Ogre in here. I didn't choose to play Ghost Ogre. I chose to try out the Mourner instead, and the Mourner was really good, man. Being able to negate those effects in tandem with also Veilers is really, really powerful. Also, it's having more cards to negate effects, so you can just like negate effect and then Nibiru is really, really good too. The burn effect also came up quite a lot. Anytime my opponent had a monster of like 1,500 or more attack points that left the field, they burn themselves for that. The next turn I would just kill them with my 2 Exceed monsters, man. Like 1 Ryzeal, dude. You don't even have to do anything else. You just attack game because your guys are so big. And then we've got the Fuvaloses. The Mold Charming cards are really good in this deck. We've got 2 Perulias as well. This card you could play at one of and then side the other, or side 2, whatever you want, but I really didn't have a problem. I wouldn't max out on 3 and 3 because you really don't want to have those hands where you just like brick on like a bunch of Mold Charmies. That would just suck. So I never really had a problem with these Mold Charmies. They're easy side outs as well when you go first. Obviously, you'd probably keep 1 of each in because you do play the cross out designators, and we'll get to that soon. All right, and the last hand trap is obviously Infinite Impermanence, just the best hand trap in the game. All right, so here's all the rest of the spells and traps. Because it's a pyro deck, we play Bonfire. Bonfire, of course. This card searches X Ryzeal and Ice Ryzeal. So Bonfire is a 1-card combo. Let's go. All right, we got Pot of Desires in this deck. Desires is really good because it's just Pot of Greed, dude. Like everything in this deck's a 3 of. This is why I choose to play 2 of the field spell as well, just in case for the Desires. But you typically always search it first before you Desires anyways, but sometimes you don't. It is what it is. But you could play Prosperity if you want it as well, but I just think Desires is a far superior card, especially in a deck like this. You need your extra deck all the time. You don't want to get rid of any of those cards because they're all very relevant. So I'd rather just Pot of Greed, bro. Prosperity is not good enough. And then we got the God cards, man. Triple cross out designator. So this card is stupid good, bro. Especially in this deck. You just have to play it because, like I said, you're playing like every relevant hand trap in the game, dude, in your main deck. So this card is just always powerful. Every game I had cross out, I won. There's like no way you lose when you resolve cross out and you have the field spell to negate another card. Like, card's out of control, dude. And the mirror match, even better. Just negate your opponent's ice. Oof. It's just too good. Then you have Called by the Grave. Obviously, you need to play this card. You know, it's just too good to get around hand traps and also just pesky interruption cards. And the last card we played is Gravedigger's Trap Hole. This card reads, when your opponent activates a monster effect in their hand, graveyard, or banishment, you can negate the effect. It does not destroy the card or send it away. They keep it where it is. It negates it, and then you burn your opponent for 2,000. So really, really nice card to get around hand traps. Also cards in your opponent's graveyard. It's just a good card. Like if you draw it, it's not bad to use as an interruption on your opponent's turn because a lot of effects in this game activate in the hand or in the grave. You could like negate an engraver with this, man. You can also negate like recursion cards in the grave. Like it's just a good card, and then burn them for 2K. Obviously, the best thing about this is you can just send it on your turn with Rafflesia. Or your opponent's turn, either or. Like if you have Rafflesia, you can send the whole card to the graveyard, and then you can use it to negate like their Nibiru on your turn, or you could use it on their turn to just kill whatever. All right, so now we got our extra deck, and it's honestly really, really fun that for me, it's all 15 Exceed monsters. It's been a long time since I played a deck that was all Exceed monsters, man. Even my Exo Sister decks play Link monsters. So first up, we've got our 2 copies of Ryzeal Duo Drive. This card's really, really crazy good. When this card is summoned, you can add a Ryzeal monster from your graveyard to it as a material. So immediately you get 3 materials on it. This card increases all of your monsters' attack by 100 for each material attached to it, and decreases your opponent's attack by 100 for each monster attached to it. So if you have 2 materials, plus 200 to you, minus 200 to your opponent. And this card also once per turn lets you search any 2 Ryzeal cards from your deck to your hand. Any 2. So it could be monster, spells, and traps. Doesn't matter. And then at resolution, you detach 2 materials from the field to the graveyard to resolve the effect. And it could be materials from him. It could be from your other Exceeds. It could be him out another Exceed. It doesn't really matter. So it's very, very good. You know, it's very, very good. That you don't have to only take the materials off of him, because that can come up where you just like take one of his and one of another guy, so next turn you have 2 to do it again. Next up, we've got 2 Ryzeal Detonator, which is this is the best card in the deck, hands down. If you ask me, hey Dazu, what card in this deck should be hit or banned? This one. This card is crazy stupid. This is the only card in the deck that when I have it, it feels unfair or just like a little overtuned and just kind of unbalanced. The rest of the deck feels very fair overall, but this card is just like, this card's over the top. It's a boss monster, 3,000 attack, crazy high stats. This card, when it's summoned, can take any card from your graveyard and attach it as a material to it, which is very relevant for the next card we'll talk about on the extra deck. Also, when your opponent would activate a card or effect, doesn't matter either or, you can detach a material to target a card on the field and destroy it. This is not once per turn or once per chain. Pretty dang good. Right away when you summon this guy, you have 3 pops. He's literally Zodiac Trident 2.0 on crack. This card also has another effect. At resolution, if any of your Exceed monsters would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can just attach a material to protect all of them. That's something you really got to pay attention to, because you don't want to be like, oh, I'm just going to Raigeki their field. Now just nib. Sure. Protect everything with the effect at resolution. This card's really, really, really disgusting, dude. Gotta say. Next up, we got the Mirrorlogic Aggregators. This is the card that you typically will send to the graveyard with the effect of X Ryzeal to special summon it to the field. And then if this card is in the graveyard, when this card goes to the graveyard rather, you get the option to negate any face-up card on the field. So when you go second, this is a very good card to send, because you can chain block with your X Ryzeal to search and then use this to negate a card on the field. So it's really good to just bait out some like interruptions on your opponent's turn, Phantom View Bell or an IP Masquerena or something like that. So very, very powerful card, dude. And it can hit spells and traps too. It's not just monsters. Any face-up card. can be negated by this thing. So very, very, very effective. So you always want to attach this to the material. So when you do choose to like detach him to pop a card, you also can that resolution on a new chain. Then you can negate another card on the field. So pretty dang good. We got our big boss boys because they're both very easily summonable in this deck and they're both very relevant. Zeus you can just make organically with your dudes. You can also make it on your opponent's turn with the trap card. Yeah, I did that on my opponent's end phase. Used the spell, brought back another guy, one of the guys he killed with one of his exceeds, and then used the trap in the grave to Zeus so that it just blow his whole field up at the end of the turn. And then yeah, Typhon is very relevant. It's very easy to make. This is a card that's also very crazy powerful against Ryzeal. So if you need a card, if you're like trying to see like how do I beat Ryzeal, this is a card you can play in your extra deck that's very powerful. It outs Detonator right away because Detonator cannot pop cards because he can't activate because he's 3000 attack. Also you can just spin it back so you don't have to worry about it anymore, and you can kill the other guys because they're all going to be smaller than the Typhon. So this card's very, very good in the mirror match. And also just if you're not a Ryzeal player, you need a card in your extra deck to kind of help just break the board or just make it easy. Typhon's that card. All right, next up is our toolbox stuff for the rank 4. So obviously we got to play the best rank 4 out there, dude. Evil Storm Excite tonight. Boy, does it feel good to play this card again, man. This is like my favorite rank 4 ever made. Oh, I've had this card literally since it came out in the Legacy of the Valiant, dude, like 10 plus years ago. So back when this was like the biggest, baddest card in the game, and it's now back in and it's one of the best exceeds, man. I made this card so many times, dude. It felt like I was playing hat format again, dude. We just like go second, normal, special, blow up the field, and then you just go off with your combo. You obviously can't OTK because you can't do damage with Excite tonight, the turn user's effect, but it's just a good card, man, because like on your turn, obviously quick effect to destroy the field, and you can also, when your opponent's in their battle phase, you can use your trap to make an Excite tonight and then blow up their field in the battle phase. Of course, we got our annoying guys, the Floodgate cards, Dweller and Baguska. Very good. You can make them on your opponent's turn if you want with the trap. And of course, you can just summon them organically and just solo a lot of decks with those cards. We've got Rafflesia, because this card, like I said, can send the trap trick. You can send the Gravedigger trap hole and also the Ryzeal hole as well, because it says hole in the name. Because it doesn't have to send a trap hole, it just has to send a hole trap. So, yep, Rafflesia is very good. Very, very good. You can just make it as your first exceed to just have access to that trap Gravedigger. And then on your opponent's turn, have access to the trap card as well. We got Dugaris, the Timeless, because this card is just a really good draw card. I never summoned it, but in theory, it's really good. In those turns where you just have like a really just gas hand, your opponent's not doing really anything to touch you, then you can just go on your third exceed, make Dugaris, and then this plus your field spare, you're basically activating Graceful Charity on your turn and just drawing like 3 non-engine cards, and you just feel pretty good. You feel pretty good. All right, then we've got Tornado Dragon. It's just a nice generic popping card. I never summoned it, but it's good. It has relevance. The last 2 cards I played was Castel, the Sky Blaster Musketeer. I, for some reason, can't find mine, so I had to borrow it. And then I was also playing the Starleech Photon Dragon. It's another rank 4 generic dude. It's got 1800 attack, 2500 defense. Its effect's pretty good. When it's on the field, you could use it to special summon a Photon if you played Photons, but its other effect is what makes it really good. All of your exceeds that have 2000 or more attack cannot be targeted by card effects or destroyed by card effects. So it just basically makes all your guys like untouchable. All right, so that was my deck profile for my undefeated Ryzeal deck. Make sure to like the video on your way out, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and definitely check out some more awesome videos as well. And I want to give a huge special shout out to all the members of our Patreon, especially our Blue Eyes White Dragon, Austin Winch, our Moon Tier Zephyros, all of our Lords of Devastation, our Dictators of Devastation, Y-Wing Guy, JT, Larry, Quinn, Savvy That Guy, Trips, Puppy Pack, and our Kings of Devastation, Condor FJ, Esso Spartan, Severus, and my mom. And I want to give a huge, big, special shout out to all the channel members of the Rescue Squad, especially our Duelist tier, Larry and Puppy Pack, and our King of Games, Dogma, and Captain Leif. Mom, thank you so much for being one of my Kings of Devastation. I love you so much. Devastating Squad, you guys are the best. I cannot wait to see you in the future videos and live streams to come. And until then, stay awesome.